There is also this battle of the mindset. I don't blame our parents though, but it's just the mindset they come from is that, oh, my child must go to school. So when they see you taking something serious like boxing, they want to take you to church. They want to take that evil spirit away from you. Or you say you want to play football, spirit of fighting. You get.
Welcome to this game of legends. In this episode, we will be exploring the benefits of infusing education with sports in an economy.
Okay, good day everyone. Welcome to another episode of this Game of Legends. I have the pleasure of introducing Mr. Oladimeji Shodege. He is a co-founder, African Child Education and Development Network. He is the CEO of Daring TV, dedicated to promoting arts, culture, and creativity. And he's an author, currently 5 books and counting. Thank you for having me here on the session, Mr. Dimeji.
Oh, thank you very much. The pleasure is also mine, and I appreciate the fact that you and I were on board doing something together finally.
Brilliant. That's good to know. Yeah, so the name of the podcast, This Game of Legends, what inspired that was the need to help our grassroots athletes change their thinking and the need to have conversations with expert professionals, students like myself, how to learn about the role we can play, have discussions on topical issues in our society. In sports, very important. And what we do at Lumot is to fuse sports and education. I think sports has the power to change the world, literally. And with education, those two are very formidable as regards humanity's development. And of course, our development in Africa, in Nigeria. You are very much into education, as an author. You're also on the board, co-founder of an academic foundation, which is growing. You're doing great things. I just want your opinion. How do you think education can be used to complement sports on our way to the growth that we so seek in the society?
Yeah, thank you very much. At first, I would say that this is a right move in the right direction for any society to grow and to reach, developmental status. Let me pick it from recent before I drop my opinion. We could see what Saudi Arabia precisely has done recently with investing in Cristiano Ronaldo. There's an education perspective to what they've done, which we need to bring to the open, which is the fact that the league needs, patronage, needs attraction. And so to draw such person's image, just like when we have someone who is the model or, the ambassador for a brand, generate traffic and sales for the brand. So that is a very smart move in the right direction. So let's pick it up from there. Governmental policies, what such thing has influenced in terms of development, in terms of profit, in terms of growth, in terms of people satisfaction. We could see that picking up from that example, if we compare the patronage of the league to what has happened when Cristiano Ronaldo has come, we would realize that a lot of our attention has now been drawn towards Saudi Arabia as a nation. And that you can't just limit the influence of what has just happened, what sport has done, marrying sport and education together. You will now see, I can predict in coming years, people would say, I want to go study in Saudi Arabia. For whatever reason, a lot of people are now making, research about Saudi Arabia. A lot of people are now trying to align with their culture. A lot of people are now saying, oh, really, there's a university that is, we could settle down. And this is what drives the development of a nation. We need people to drive the economy. Now, marrying education and sports is quite important. It's quite a right move in the right direction, like I say. And I think this is a kind of developmental mentality we need to adopt in Africa.
Okay, that's quite brilliant. I mean, I actually never thought of the transfer from that point of view. So it's like the move they made. Now they have one of the greatest footballers ever, Cristiano Ronaldo. It's not just for footballing purposes in terms of stadium attendance, in terms of investments into sporting facilities. It's also adds, to the economy of the country.
It's encompassing. Trust me,
that's quite brilliant. How just the transfer is able to have such influence on the very culture as well, because the Arab culture, as we've seen in recent years, have been getting more exposed into this footballing world in terms of investment transfers. And this is a statement as well. And like you mentioned, when it comes to sports finances, when it comes to businesses, this is also a model. I am with you on that. So now how can we extract something from that? What can we extract as Nigerians, as Africans, in terms of how we can help not just footballing culture, but our cultures in general, our economies? How can we take a model from that to help ourselves grow?
Okay, there's an example in Africa that is not far-fetched, and I subscribe to what the president of Rwanda has been doing so far, which is His Excellency Paul Kagame. If you see on Arsenal jersey for a while at the ham, you see visit Rwanda, and that has registered to almost everybody's subconscious mind. You want to ask, where is even Rwanda? What is Rwanda? You see, those are the kind of things that sports is actually influencing. This is a country that is trying to say, you guys can come as tourists, you can come. Like I said, people need to drive economy. Do you know what Rwanda and UK has agreed upon in recent times? They've agreed that whoever seek asylum in United Kingdom could actually go to Rwanda. The UK government will be in charge of, giving them the stipend, entitlement, the paper.
In Rwanda.
But they will be in Rwanda. So you know what that means. You know what that implies. So it has gone beyond sports. These are the people that will now go to Rwanda University. These are the kind of people that will pick up courses, relevant courses, that will try to build Rwanda's economy. And it's aligning sports, education, politics, whatever together. And this, like I said...
And that strengthens the immigration policy as well. So I can see how sports also ties into immigration.
So you see, just the jersey, just the love of Arsenal. Everybody wears Visit to Rwanda. You could see, and it has gone wild. You could leverage on the millions of fans that Arsenal has. At least out of 1 million of people, it would have registered to the subconscious mind of above 500. And above 500 would have gone out of their way to research upon what is Rwanda, who is Rwanda, where is Rwanda. And some people will even plan their holidays. And now that has even transcended to a proper treaty between the two nations.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. So what we mostly see is the private institutions and organizations sponsoring and partnering with sports clubs. But yeah, as a government themselves, they are the ones that have taken the liberty to actually go a step further into sports. There has to be also a level of investments that have gone into place. When it comes to, again, education, you have to understand the facts. You have to know what your ROI would be, your return in terms of the investment. And that would not only bring the visibility. You said people will start to get curious. What is Rwanda? Where is Rwanda? The visibility, the awareness, and also the education that comes with it in terms of the right research to do before going ahead to partner with a sports club or a sports organization. When we look at Nigeria, as far as you can tell, what are we doing wrong when it comes to the government's push? We've seen a lot of private institutions do their bits, private organizations and sponsors. Now, what is the government doing wrong? What do we need to do better? Beyond just having a sports ministry and creating a budget for the sport ministry, what is the innovative step we can take?
For me, just one word: diversification. You see, we cannot put all our strengths in one aspect, in one arena. We saw these days coming, these days of electric cars, electric technology taking over. But we had spent millions of times wasting our thinking oil will be here forever. Like the world is not going to evolve past some trending things right now, some sort of commodity, which is not true. It's a lie we tell ourselves. And this is what we've been doing. I've not just said it. Aliko Dangote has pointed to it. A lot of intellectuals have pointed to it. We need to diversify. Look at sports. Sport is powerful right now. Sport is a great avenue to generate revenue. Sport is an aspect of life that can be married well with education, that will even make education and sport go in tandem. And these are not lies. We have examples. All school team, almost all varsity team here in England or in the Western world, they have a smooth transition into professional team. They have a way to scout. They have leagues that some coaches, some people rely upon to say, oh, let me go and scout this guy. Oh, there's one Olumide Omotosho playing in Netherlands. And from there, you've moved to Turkey and everything because the system is in tandem. They are interwoven. And these are the things that we're not doing. We've tried as much as possible to isolate each sectors. Each sectors can be married. I love these aspects where we are talking about sports and education, because some people are still of the opinion that it is far-fetched. Come on, it's education separately. Let's treat sports. No, we can marry everything together. And that is how we become, because you as an individual right now, you can play good football, right? Are you educated? Yes. Are you a religious person? Yes. So why are we going to treat all these things separately when it is all encompassing in one person as you? So we need to marry all these things all together to make sure that there is no disunity, there's no disharmony, there's no disintegration amongst them. So I think this is where our leaders have gotten it wrong. The whole focus on oil, our one industry, has actually made other industries to be neglected, even at the detriment of education itself.
One of the challenges, I think, that's holding us back, especially I like when you mentioned system and how different industries and sectors can be linked together, can work together. One of the challenges I think really holding us back is the fact that we do not have credible sports courses in our universities. I mean, not just universities, in our institution, at every level, going from the primary up until tertiary and even higher. Apart from the fact that we do not have credible enough programs, they are not being promoted enough and they are not being rewarded enough. For instance, now, I dare to say this, our current sports minister has no background, educational or career in sports. The the one just before this, also same thing. Going back, you can go several years. And it's the same thing in lower levels. We're talking about the Sports Ministry of Nigeria. Same thing lower levels, at the state levels, commissioners. It seems as though the substance that comes with studying sports in Nigeria is lost. So now, when you mention system, what do you think the government has to do when it comes to rewarding academic excellence in sports and investing heavily in programs in our institutions?
I'll give you an instance and I'll drive my points home from that instance. I remember when I was growing up, I was a very good footballer. Like, I was a very fantastic player. When I mean fantastic player, I mean, I could score goals, I could dribble, I was flexible, I was good. So I pushed myself a little further. I joined Dortmund FC. Then there was this coach in my church, his two sons that are my friends. Then he's a coach of Pepsi Academy. So I
also be sure, Dortmund FC is like a local club in Nigeria.
Local.
Okay. Just to
yeah.
Because
it's not the Dortmund, yeah.
Dortmund in Germany. Okay, so you could have been playing now with.
He's just an adopted.
Okay.
So I moved into Pepsi Academy and I was training. I think I sustained an injury right then. Then a shot was played to me at a very short range on my right eye. So I was operated upon. This right eye went totally blind and stuff. And that discouraged my mom from me chasing football. Then this mentality I noticed from then, that when you are bright in school, brilliant, and you are loving sports, then you are losing focus, you are wasting your talent, and all these things accumulated has made a lot of people lose interest in, which is not true, and there is also this battle of the mindset. I don't blame our parents though, but it's just the mindset they come from is that, my child must go to school. So when they see you taking something serious like boxing, they want to take you to church. They want to take that evil spirit away from you. Or you say you want to play football.
Spirit of fight.
And you get. So, but these are professions. These are sports that could be life-changing. You know what I'm saying? Now, people who adopted Anthony Joshua, that is the hypocrisy I don't like about Nigeria. We love Anthony Joshua. When these people have made great headways, we adopt them that they're Nigerians. But let's go back to our system. Why are we losing our human capital, our talents to the Western world? So we know the answer. The answer is right before us. I'll give you another instance where I come from, Abeokuta. It hurts me so much to see a stadium dedicated to Muda Lawal is now turned into a garage park. People sell food. The government has designated the rentals of some part of that land to people to be selling clothes, food, trailer parking. People go there to smoke. They just club and everything. The stadium is in shambles. And that saddens me because that is a multi-million dollars facility that can be transformed, that can generate even more money. Diversification of investments. Are they not looking into sports area? Do they see? It's only this Mba and the few likes that are really patronizing sport. And we have the massive land. We could see how the rivalry, the sport has turned into religion in the European country. It is a huge source of generating income. So let's think about it from a bigger picture. The GDP, the tax revenue and everything. Governments, are they thinking rightly? So these are questions sometimes I just ask myself. I feel like if I'm part of the government and this is really working, in the Western world, and we are saying we want to develop. Are we joking? Because we are not even moving towards what the developed nations are doing to be developed.
A couple of things which you mentioned, I'm going to touch on. I have the same experience, by the way. I still play football. However, it was a struggle as a young man. When I was even younger, as a boy, it was a struggle. I'm still a young man, so I don't even know why I said that. As a boy, I was always condemned growing up. I always wondered, if playing football brings me so much joy, so much happiness, why do people around me condemn it so much? My parents, most especially. It was always something you shouldn't do or something being discouraged. Go to school, stay in class.
Like, you are too playful.
You're too playful. And you also mentioned why it's gotten a lot better in the Western societies. It's because they nurture the talent from a very young age. They guide their kids, football games in school, competitions in the community. It was condemned where we grew up from. And I've often wondered, but we watch football. We see how sports changes the atmosphere. For instance, if there's a game, I used to look at my father, the older men back then in the day. Everybody would sit down to watch a football game on the World Cup. You enjoyed watching this game, but you're condemning at the same breath. So it's like, again, further on to another thing you mentioned was it was often condemned. And I think the same thing with music. So it was often those who were not serious in class that would go to play football.
Yeah, speaking about music, I remember I wanted to sing at some point in time because I was good in rap. Oh my God. My mom cried. She said, wow. Oh God, I've lost a son. Oh God.
Just because of music.
Yeah, because she was a widow. And like, so my son was putting down pants. She called the whole family meeting on me. And she said I was not ready to go to school again. That I wanted to be doing music. I want to be smoking.
So now when it comes to education, we have a long way to go because we don't only need to educate professionals or athletes. We also need to educate the older folks to understand the benefit of sports. Now, one of the things that we have dedicated to doing in Lumot is to educate, not just in terms of academic education or programs and all that sort, but the awareness to spread the benefits of sports. It's not just playing football. That has been established. There's sports health, sports politics. You're an author, right? There are great authors in sports.
There's financial literacy in sports.
Exactly. Sports finance. So now that begs the question, how bad is it for it to get to that level? How bad is it that the education has been extracted so much from sports that people just look at sports? I mean, it's getting better. However, the development is very gradual, very slow paced. But we need to hasten the process in which we jump from where we are now towards where we need to be in terms of sports and education. How can we make people aware of the benefits of sports? Does that depend on academic institutions, governments investing heavily? Does that depend on just what we're doing right now? That is why this is important. People need to be aware. Now, this is a thing which I discovered recently and I've been promoting is actually the power of sports can help kids learn better. Memory retention. When it comes to being in a very good physical shape, to stay healthy, sport has the power to keep people in check and responsible. So this is something that we actually need to pay attention to, and it will develop other aspects of our society, psychosocially, for instance, and our mental development.
Yeah, I just want to call your attention to what I said earlier. What you said triggers something in me about the fact that people that has been in charge of sports, commissioner, ministers, do not even have sport background. So could it be that the leaders take sports as just one aspect that just is not relevant? Let's just put a figurehead there. Like, the national consciousness towards sports is not really encouraging. They just want the abracadabra. It's just a question. Like, it's the puzzle. Like, sometimes I just wonder, like, because it is an aspect that you don't really take serious, that you just put any person in. We just need someone to just be a figurehead there. You just go and be a figurehead there. Sport cannot be treated that way. It can't. Because you see people signing players for millions of pounds, millions of euros, millions of dollars, and you think they're wasting money? You really think there is no science of profitability involved in this arts, in this sports? So sometimes I really want to ask questions like, have we charged stupid people to be in the helms of our affairs? Or the corruption level has just so gotten deep that some people don't even think towards development anymore?
To be fair on sports isn't the only ignored industry in Nigeria. There's several. Look at power, for instance, electricity. Look at our infrastructure, roads, bridges, very poor. Then look at education as well. We've been clamoring for investments. Our institutions are poorly funded. even the quality, even access to education. Less than half the population have access to quality education. Again, I don't want to go into the numbers, but it's so bad. To be fair on sports, it's several aspects that need to be looked into. Urgent attention needs to be paid, especially when you look at sports in other countries. Sports have been used to drive developments in terms of education, in terms of politics, in terms of economy, in terms of revenue for the government. Sports business is huge, and that's another gap we have in Nigeria. So to be fair, it's almost a general problem, but we've established that sport has something different. Investing in sports and education will drive ultimately that development we so need and we yearn for. Now, I would like for you to also share your views on something. When it comes to education, the general notion that the purpose of education is to get a job. Now, if you look at that and look at the high rate of unemployment we have in the country, we can see that people look at, okay, there are no jobs. If the reason why I am going to go to school is to get a job, what is the point of going to school if there are no jobs in the first place? And then people, even those who might have access to education, they are discouraged from going into education in the first place. And then it has also been established that we have a very high number of people who are going into sports, most especially into football. So people are ignoring education just to go play football to make some money. Now, how do we change that thinking into you can do your sports, go to school at the same time? You can balance both at the same time. Now, that's one aspect of the thinking. Another aspect of the thinking is those who don't even have access to education in the first place and don't want to do sports. We know that begs for a bigger problem, because if you spend years of your time and effort trying to do sports, and in the eventuality that you do not get to the professional level, without education, there's nothing else to fall back on. You can't get a job because you are not educated. You can't start a business because you don't have the right knowledge or the right information on what to go about starting a business, and so on and so forth. So from those angles, how do we need to merge sports and education to work hand in hand?
Yeah, I'll pick it from your last question, then I'll go back to your first question. Your last question, which says that someone is not, schooled, but really want to go for sports. I would say that is allowed. And that is why we need to redefine our education. The education that is designed for job purpose is serving an agenda. And I think its agenda is over. We are in an era where human capital cannot be limited. You cannot limit creativity. People are super creative. People are coming up with ideas that are crazy. Someone is about to move us away from Earth, taking us to Mars. This is the generation we are. You can't be stupid. What the hell are you teaching in school? You cannot design your education to control. You have to design your education to unleash. So now, the second question, you see, Jay-Z did something that was amazing to me. He set up an agency to defend black athletes. He hired lawyers because he had realized that a lot of black athletes go broke, are being cheated, because they put in the work, they play, they serve the club, but they are being cheated. Probably after their service, they just go broke and all. So he set up an agency. So once you're playing and you're enrolled into this agency, you have a lawyer who tells you are entitled to this, you have rights to this. You don't really need to be educated, but these people defend your right and left, and you get 100% of things that are meant for you without you being cheated. And I really think we should focus on that as well as prospective business that we could set up as we channeling our education to defend, because this is not we judging people whether they want to go to school or not. It is we making the society enabling options
for themselves,
for people to thrive. Of what right do I have to judge a guy who came from abject poverty and was fortunate to come to Lagos, and he was managing between hawking water and going to training and playing football, and he was spotted on, and that was his big break. So will I tell him to go back and go school? Because sometimes we are so quick to judge and we are not really sitting down. Yeah, they don't have the option. So it is we now to sit down and say, let us redefine this education to make people, because that's the purpose of leadership, make the environment enabling for people to thrive. And hope one day you and I will get the opportunity to be in position of power to actually play our own part well. When I say power authority, I mean in terms of policy formation and people trying to initiate the right things to be done at the top cadre, I believe we have a spot on. Now, to answer your second question, which I say, why education and sports are so in tandem. I read recently about how some athletes that were so rich, Nigerian athletes, and have gone so poor. These people have no financial literacy. They weren't schooled on investment literacy. They didn't know that this money goes in line with their strength. They didn't know that there will come a time. They weren't prepared for unforeseen circumstances. And you see athletes like Zenedine Zidane still relevant to date. You see athletes like Celesta Babayaro. And you see these people who have touched the pinnacle of success. But where are they right now? We look at Nwankwo Kanu. We see their survival instincts. So these are things that we really want to infuse in education. Why education and sport can go in tandem? Because you don't really just want to be in those news for, I bought a Ferrari, and I really respect what Mane is doing. People don't understand what Mane is doing, but when that time comes, he's building something that will be his lasting legacy. He is going to be relevant forever.
Wonderful things for his.
Yes, he's going to. So these are things we really need to let people understand. And education comes from the fact that you accept where you come from. And that's why I appreciate people like Mane. They understand the realities and predicaments of people back home. I'm not saying that people who have gone and chose their life have done something wrong. No, that's not my point. But I'm saying that education can be married with sports in such an aspect that, yes, we've seen educated people in sports. We've seen Muhammad Ali. We've seen fantastic people that have been able to hold press discussion well, have been able to portray the right consciousness that people need to follow, have been able to be a good model, have been able to play their whole part in what is going on, in what they represent. Messi and Ronaldo, I have taken time to study them. If you check their progress so far, you realize that it came a point in time. I think these people enrolled to not just getting lawyers, they enrolled to, okay, come, how do I talk to press? How do I handle my anger? How do I comport? And that is education. That's the kind of education we're still talking about. Education is not just what I've done and I'm out of it. No, it's a lifelong process. I'm still subscribing to Olumide Omotosho agency guidance or press guidance. Okay, let me pick up a course. These people are now saying, okay, I can comport myself. I don't need to be in the spotlight for that. That's why you have some people, celebrity, some sportman that they know that, this is the right thing for me to do. This is not the right, and they are never in the news for a bad sport. So yeah, education and sport is quite very important.
You flogged it. I like the things you mentioned. Absolutely. Education is not just enrolling in some course. It is also how you improve yourself, your consciousness, and how you want to better yourself as an athlete, to be presentable, to be able to communicate leadership, for instance. Yeah, you said at some point it would be good if we occupy some position where we have more influence to reform some policies and to initiate strategies that will go in that direction. That would be great. At the same time, with what you're doing at Darren TV, with what you're doing with African Child's Education and Development Network, and also with Lumot, what we do as well, we mentor young athletes, even ex-professionals. We help them in their financial planning, for instance. We help them with their career guidance. These are some of the things we do. We can only do the best we can do, right? And I think we're doing fantastic so far. We can't get ahead of ourselves. We just have to learn in life to get better and to know how to use what we have to better this society. So yes, Mr. Oladimeji Shodoke, it's been a pleasure once more to have you on this session. And
the pleasure is all mine.
Get to do more of this.
Yeah, definitely.
And see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. To follow our journey on this mission, kindly do not forget to subscribe and check us out on social media. Until next time.